reader friends! Welcome back to Storytime. Today, I'm reading you another fantastic story, which is called Barry's Halloween Costume Trouble. Narrator Cindy Robinson. But before we get started, please subscribe for more fun videos with me. Now let's get started. One fine evening in Whisker Haven, all the palace pets and courtesans were abuzz, for it was Hollow Haven, a night of spooky delights and spectacular costumes. The palace was decorated with cobwebs and jack-o'-lanterns, and the friends couldn't wait to celebrate. Barry the bunny entered the throne room. "I can't wait to start baking the Hollow Haven cake." Then Barry bumped into Slipper. The cat was dressed in a bedazzled gown. "Happy Hollow Haven, Slipper! Your costume is simply dazzling." Next, Barry turned to see Daisy dressed in an artist barret and a smock. "Ooh, your costume is very artistic, Daisy." Matey walked over, dressed as a dashing sea captain, and Barry grinned. "And your costume is sensational, Matey." Barry's friend looked at her and smiled. "Thanks, Barry." Just then, Mrs. Featherbon flew into the throne room dressed as a witch. "Happy Hollow Haven, Barry!" Barry hopped with joy at the sight of her. "Happy Hollow Haven, Mrs. Featherbon! Your costume is wickedly wonderful." "Thank you. Every pet's making such splendificent costumes for the Hollow Haven costume show." But wait, Mrs. Featherbon looked Barry up and down. "Oh, Barry, where is your costume?" "Nuts and berries! I was so busy thinking about baking the Hollow Haven cake that I forgot about my costume." Slipper stepped closer to Barry. "It's okay, Barry. We'll help you come up with something brilliant." Matey chimed in next, but the show was starting soon, so we better hurry. The friends quickly get to work. First, Slipper helped Barry try on a costume that was not quite Barry's flavor. Next, it was Daisy's turn to help. She whipped up another costume for Barry to wear. Barry looked down at it and shook her head. Lastly, Matey helped Barry try on something sensational. Wait, what am I, Matey? A mer-bunny, of course. Still stumped for a costume, Barry took off her mer-bunny tail and put on an apron. "Thank you for trying, but none of these costumes are quite me." Barry's friends gathered around her, and Matey frowned. "Sorry, Barry." Barry smiled at her friends. "I just need to find something that suits my taste." Suddenly, Barry had a thought. "Taste butter beans! I still gotta bake the Hollow Haven cake." Daisy knew what to do. "We can help you, Barry." She got out eggs as Barry got out the bowl. Matey grabbed the flour and sugar, and Slipper found the berries. As the friends gathered the ingredients and began mixing them, Barry smiled with joy. She stirred everything together, then poured the batter into pans and put them in the oven. Soon, the batter bubbled up and turned into a beautiful golden brown. Barry let the cake cool and got to work, frosting and decorating it. As she did so, she started to worry. "Well, we finished the Hollow Haven cake, but I still don't have a costume for a costume show. I certainly can't go covered in frosting." Matey, Daisy, and Slipper looked at each other and looked at the messy kitchen and smiled. Yes, you can. Barry looked at her friend stunned. Huh? What do you mean? Slipper smiled even wider and glanced at the others. We know what your costume should be. Come on! Barry, Matey, Slipper, and Daisy put their paws in together. Hearts, hooves, paws! Their first stop on the list was visiting Tilly, Tutu, Taylor, and Whisker Haven Village. Then Slipper, Matey, and Daisy told Tilly about Barry's costume conundrum. Tilly knew just what to do. She snipped some fabrics and ribbons and sewed some pieces together until, ta-da! Barry had her very own costume. Back at the palace, it was time for the Hollow Haven costume show. All the pets and the Crittersons gathered around the runway in their spooktacular costumes. They were eagerly waiting for the show to begin when Mrs. Featherbon flew into the hall, took out a horn, and blew into it. Woo! Happy Hollow Haven! The festivities will begin with our annual Hollow Haven costume show! The palace pets and Crittersons cheered. With one last honk of her horn, Mrs. Featherbon signaled for the show to begin. On the runway, Petey strutted out dressed as a ghost. Sultan came next, dressed as a dinosaur. Dreamy followed, wearing her favorite accessory, a pillow. Then Treasure came bounding out, dressed as a vampire bat. And Pumpkin was all dolled up in a glamorous ball gown. It was a costume show, unlike any other. Finally, it was Barry's turn to walk the runway in her costume. She was dressed in her baker's best as a confection, with a cake on her head. Mrs. Featherbon admired Barry's good taste. Ooh! And then Slipper, Matey, and Daisy hit the runway in their original costumes. Now with royally wonderful confection costume hats. Mrs. Featherbon couldn't contain her excitement at the sight of them all. Splendificent! The confection costume crew did another strut down the runway, and everyone applauded. And Mrs. Featherbon flew up to the group. Where did you all get those ideas for those confection concoctions? Matey, Daisy, and Slipper all pointed to Barry. Barry's baking! Barry smiled. But I would never have come up with it without the help of my friends. Oh my goodness! I'm pretty sure she must have been decorated as I don't know, food. Probably those are all the ingredients to make that wonderful cake. Mrs. Featherbon flew around the cake hats, licking her beak. They all look good enough to eat. Barry quickly wheeled out her Hollow Haven cake. You can't eat them, Mrs. Featherbon, but you can sure eat the Hollow Haven cake. Wait a second. Cake? And there's a little cupcake on top. Everyone cheered as they headed over for some cake. Happy Hollow Haven! The end. I hope you enjoyed this fantastic story. See you later in another video. Bye, reader friends, and keep on reading.